What's going on, guys? It's your boy Nick coming at you on the channel today with a combo tutorial and test hand video for my updated Metaphys deck profile, also known as Trapphys, something that I like to call it since this is more of a trap focused build. For those of you who haven't seen, I made a profile on this deck a little under 2 weeks ago now, and I also used this deck in a live duel video that I showcased on my channel against my original build of Metaphys. And this deck actually took Metaphys in a best of 3. So for those of you who haven't seen that live duel video or the original profile, I encourage you to check those videos out. I'll leave links to the description of each video down below here. I will say though that after doing some rigorous testing with this particular list, I did optimize it further. And it's something that I explained a little bit during the Metaphys live duel. But I even made some additional minor tweaks since that live duel video. And to be honest with you, I'm really liking the way the deck's flowing right now. And I think it's actually ready to be taken to locals and see how it actually performs. So before we get into the combo tutorial and test hand, I just want to really quickly run through the deck. That way you guys can see the changes that were made. Again, I'm just going to very quickly be brushing through everything. If you want a more detailed profile, then I encourage you to check out the initial profile, which I'll leave a link in the description down below. But like I said, this version has been optimized, so it flows a lot better, I feel, with some new card choices and updated quantities of the cards that I'm running. But before we dive in, for those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. My name's Nick. We do live duel videos, deck profiles, deck discussions. If those are things that you like, then I encourage you to please smash that subscribe button. We are almost at 400 subs, guys. Like this video and leave a comment down below on what you guys think of this particular Metaphys build. It's definitely very unique. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into, just like I said, the changes. So we're still on 1 Ragnarok. That hasn't changed. 2 Decoy Dragon. Then we are on 2 Tyrant, 2 Metaphys, 2 Daedalus as our Metaphys monster-like lineup. No more than that. Again, I'm not really going to be explaining what they do. If you want a detailed information about the cards, then I encourage you to check out the original profile. We're still on triple copies of P.u.n.k, the Tactical Trapper. This card is an amazing starter for this deck. I cannot underestimate how awesome this card actually is. Very cool card in this particular version, given that we are a trap-focused build. Dark Eye Nightmare has now been cut down to a 1-of, simply because he's not really a starter, and there was too many games when I would open this early on and it just wouldn't do anything, because unfortunately this card, as good as it is, it needs to have traps in the graveyard already to be beneficial, and it's difficult to put them there turn 0. So we cut him down to a 1-of, and since then I've actually liked that so far. Now moving on to some of our, engine pieces, or to help the deck's consistency. We're on triple copies of Sword Soul Strategist Long Yuan. This hasn't changed from the original profile. This card's actually very strong, but we did add another Sword Soul monster to the mix, and that is a Sword Soul Auspice Chunjun. This is a brand new, brand new for the deck at least, Sword Soul monster. It's a level 6. Really quickly, I'll summarize what it does. During the main phase quick effect, you can tribute a monster that's cost, and then special this card from your hand. So this can help you dodge Veilers or Imperms, for example, if they target any of your P.u.n.k or Ragnarok, for example, or even your P.u.n.k monsters too. If you summon Zeaman and they end up Imperming or Veilering, you can quick effect tribute it to summon this, and then your card still resolves, which I think is pretty cool. But also this is another easy way to get rid of your Sword Soul tokens if you want to get out of the Synchro Lock, for example. So I think that's pretty great. He's 2400 attack, so he's pretty formidable, and if he's used this Synchro material, you can target a card on the field or in either grave and banish it. So that's pretty cool too. So 1 copy of that I think has been working out quite well. Then we're on the 1 copy of Recover. This is actually a very cool psychic level 1 tuner monster. Reason why we're running this is because we do play triple copies of Emergency Teleport. And I just wanted another different level psychic that we could summon off of it. Also, Recover has a very cool graveyard effect where if the opponent has 5 or more cards in their extra deck than we do, we can pay 2,000 life points to special summon this card. Doesn't come up that often, but like I said, I just wanted a different leveled psychic tuner. 2 copies of Zeaman. We cut it down from 3 to 2, just so we can add the 1 copy of Recover. 1 Deer Note, 1 Foxy Tune, and that summarizes our P.u.n.k engine. We're still on the 1 Fairy Tale Snow. This card is absolutely cracked. And then we are on 2 new main deck monsters. 1 copy of Shinobi Necro. This card is actually very interesting. It's a level 2 zombie tuner monster, and the reason why we run it is because if it's banished to activate an effect or by a card effect, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. So I thought that was a really interesting tech choice, since we do a lot of banishing, especially out of our graveyard, with stuff like with Chaos Ruler or Virtual World P.u.n.k, for example. You can very easily special this card back once it's banished, so I thought that was pretty cool, and so far it's worked out very well, especially being a dark monster. And then we're on one copy in the main deck of Mana Dragon Zernatron. This is something that I started testing with at 2, and I liked it, but I felt that at 1 was perfectly fine. Basically, since we're like a back row somewhat focused strategy, if the opponent outs any of our spells and traps, we can special this card from our hand or graveyard to the field, and then we can set one of our banished spells or traps, or one of our spells and traps that's in the graveyard, to our field, which is pretty cool as well. So one copy of that's been working out great. Then we are on triple E-Telly. That hasn't changed. We cut the Sword Soul Emergence from 2 to 1 just to make the deck count a little smaller. We were running 46 cards originally. Now we're just on 44 cards. One Gold Sark, obviously. One Crossout Designator in the main deck, just as like a pseudo copy of Gold Sark, so we can like declare a Metaphys name, banish it, and then on the following standby, it triggers its effect. One Ace of Metaphys, obviously that still hasn't changed. And then we are on triple copies of Ascension, triple Blackout, triple Assessment, one Trap Trick down from 2, and then we are on 2 copies of Metaphys Dimension in the main deck. So that rounds out everything in the main. Like I said, the deck is sitting at a healthy 44 cards currently, and after doing a lot of testing, I feel that this particular setup runs way smoother. So that's it now. We are going to go ahead and start running in with our combo tutorial and test hand. Alright guys, and we're back. Real quick before we dive into the combo tutorial test hands, I just want to go over some changes I made with the extra deck very quickly, because I did update it a little bit. We're on one Formula Synchron, one Metaphys Horus, one Yazi Evo the Yangzing, one Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. This is brand new, one Sword Soul Grandmaster Shizao. This I actually recently added because it's come up, and I'll explain how during the combo tutorial. One Chaos Ruler the Chaotic Magical Dragon, one Virtual World P.u.n.k, one Baronade de Fleur, which is also newer edition, I mean. One Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign Chengying, one Sword Soul Sinister Sovereign Kuaizing Longyuan, and Psychic End Punisher, one Zombie Vampire, and then for the links, we're on one Crystron Halqifibrax, one IP Masquerena, and one Nightmare Unicorn to round out the 15-card extra deck. So with that, now we're going to jump into the combo tutorial. One card I actually do want to show you guys is how actually relevant P.u.n.k, the Tactical Trapper, really is. So let's say you go ahead and you normal summon P.u.n.k at the start of your turn. P.u.n.k states that if this card's normal or special summoned, you can banish one trap card from your deck. Now that is cost. Keep that in mind. So if your opponent has a response, they can't do anything until you banish that trap, which I find very, very interesting. Now the 3 traps that you're mainly going to be banishing off of that effect, all those traps have effects when they're banished. You have Metaphys Ascension, you have Blackout, and you have Assessment. Now, Ascension states that if the card is banished, you get to add a Metaphys card from the deck to your hand. So P.u.n.k can be normal summoned or special summoned, and then banish the Ascension as cost. And then you get to add a Metaphys card from deck to hand, which is like a Roto, which is pretty cool. And then with Blackout and Assessment, they effectively have identical banish effects, where if they're both banished, either or, they produce a Sword Soul token, which is a Worm, Tuner, Water, level 4, attack 0, defense 0, and then while that token's on the field, we're locked into synchro summoning from the extra deck. But that's really not a problem. Now, what P.u.n.k does, remember, he banishes the trap for cost. What happens if that resolves is he gains a level. So he'll become a level 5 monster, which is actually really, really cool. So what happens is, let's say you banish Blackout or an Assessment, you'll end up producing a Sword Soul token, and then he'll become a level 5, which means you have a level 5 non-tuner and a level 4 tuner, which means that on turn 0, off of one card, you basically have a free Virtual World P.u.n.k, which is actually really, really cool, I feel, even in this upcoming format, because I feel like you're going to have a lot of graveyard-focused strategies. So Shen still puts in a hell of a lot of work. Also, keep in mind that P.u.n.k has an additional effect where during like your main phase, you can banish a trap from either player's graveyard to increase his level a second time by 1. So like let's say you normal summon it, you banish, produce a token, he's level 5. Then during your main phase, you can banish another trap from either player's grave. Keep in mind if you're banishing their traps, like against Eldritch, it's really, really strong. Or even if you're banishing additional copies of your own traps, you're just producing more tokens or getting more searches, which is really cool. But then he becomes a level 6, which means that 6 and 4 make any level 10 synchro. However, if he does get negated, for example, after banishing the trap for cost, then he does not gain a level, which means he stays at level 4. And to be honest, that actually doesn't even bother us either, because then if he stays at level 4, we can either make a Draco Berserker, or we can go straight into our Chaos Ruler combo to be able to mill a bunch of cards and generate value that way. So P.u.n.k is actually like one of my favorite cards, because you wouldn't understand how many times after testing people end up negating this or like trying to stop its effect, not realizing that like in the grand scheme it really doesn't matter, because if you stop its effect, I can make a Chaos Ruler because it stays at level 4, and if you don't stop its effect, then I'm either going for a Shen, and if you don't stop the secondary effect, I'm going for like a Baron or a Cheng-Ying or anything like that. So this card puts in a hell of a lot of work, and I really can't understate how strong it really is. And if it wasn't good enough, when this card is destroyed by an opponent's card, either by battle or card effect, you can set one of your banished normal traps back to your side of the field. So P.u.n.k is just absolutely cracked in that regard, and as a result, that's why we're maxing out at a playset of him, because he's just very, very, very strong. But moving on to another combo, I just want to point out how Long-Yuan, to summon himself, can either discard another Sword Soul card or any other worm monster. Keep in mind that all the Metaphys monsters are worms, meaning that if you draw into some of the high-level ones, Long-Yuan can just help facilitate putting them into the graveyard for you. And then the more worms you have in grave, the more value you get off of cards like Assessment. Since Assessment states you have to target a monster we control, banish up to 5 Sword Soul cards and or worm monsters from your graveyard, and if you do, that monster gains 300 attack for each card banished this way. So not only do you get to buff something by an insane amount of attack permanently, but you just get to banish up to 5 Sword Soul and or worm cards from the grave, which is just a huge, huge plus. So Long-Yuan also puts in a lot of work, in addition to just being a very easy access into any level 10 synchro that's generic. Obviously, I don't think we need to go into like P.u.n.k combos, because you guys should already know how P.u.n.k works. The Zeoman, you pay 600, you search Foxy Tune, and then so if you normal or special Zeoman, doesn't really matter. You pay 600, search out the Foxy Tune, and then Foxy Tune can discard himself and any other card in hand to then special Deer Note, and then Deer Note plus Zeoman end up making the Chaos Ruler, and then Chaos Ruler will do his thing, and then Deer Note, since it was sent to grave, can revive back the Foxy Tune, and then you take the Foxy Tune and the Chaos Ruler to make the Zombie Vampire, which is obviously very cool. So then you just mill a bunch of additional cards off of that line. Does the deck need that to function? No, but if it goes off, it's a very good chance that you're going to end up winning that game, just because of all the advantage you generate with all of your graveyard resources. And like I said, the deck's very straightforward as far as like combos go. There really isn't like any crazy, like you can play Gold Sark to be able to banish like Ascension, for example. Then Ascension gets you a search for a Metaphys card, and then on the second standby you grab the Ascension back to your hand off the Gold Sark, which is really nice. Another interesting play is going Crossout Designator, declaring any Metaphys monster name, and then you banish it. Keep in mind, Crossout Designator states that the card you banished or declared has its effects negated until the end of the turn. But that doesn't matter, because all the Metaphys monsters, when they're banished, don't trigger their banished effects until the following standby of the turn after they were banished. So you can cross out any of these names, and then on the following standby, trigger that effect, which I think is very cool. And that's, like I said, pretty much it. The deck, for the most part, is very straightforward in how it operates. Like, the combos aren't too complex. So with that being said, we are going to jump into a test hand. So we're going to pile shuffle here live for you guys on camera. We're going to start with a random 5-card opener and see what we can do. And knowing my bad luck, we'll probably brick or something silly or draw very suboptimally. But we're going to try and keep a positive outlook, and hopefully we draw into some good stuff so I can actually showcase you guys a really nice combo. But like I said, this deck is actually really cool, and after doing a bunch of testing, I feel like it's at its best form it can possibly be with the current card pool. And as a result, I think it is ready to be taken to a like local setting and see how it performs. Am I expecting this deck to like win and be crazy and blow everybody out? Not necessarily, but it is a lot stronger than it initially lets on. And it's just a very fun deck to pilot. And like I said, Metaphys is one of my favorite themes in Yu-Gi-Oh! And there isn't really a lot of like cards or engines or other like decks that mesh well with it. So this is like realistically the best version that I could come up with. It's a trap variant, but it's using like Sword Soul and P.u.n.k cards to facilitate extension, which Metaphys desperately need extension because like they really just rely on a normal summon, and if that gets snuffed, you're kind of screwed. Yeah, so we just did the cut. I can cut again for you guys if you really want to see. And we're gonna draw a 5-card opener. We got Ascension, Auspice Chunjun, an Assessment, P.u.n.k, and a Dimension for our 5-card opener. Now, this is actually very interesting. So what we can do here, we opened up P.u.n.k, which is obviously very strong as a starter, and then we just have a bunch of traps and a Chunjun, which I think is also very cool. So let's say we're going to normal summon the P.u.n.k, right? We're going to declare its effect upon its normal summon to banish a trap card from our deck. Now, keep in mind, like I was saying, we have to banish a trap from deck as cost. So the opponent can't respond with anything until we do that. So in this case, I think, based on our hand at least, we're going to go ahead and banish a copy of Blackout to go ahead and produce ourselves a Sword Soul token. So Blackout's going to get banished, and then we will produce a Sword Soul token. If this doesn't resolve, like let's say the opponent like Veilers or Imperms, for example, we do have the Chunjun in our hand to be able to quick effect tribute this card to special the Chunjun, which is actually very funny because then in a new chain, the Blackout triggers to produce the token, obviously, which I don't think the opponent has any way to interact with that specifically on turn 0. That's very difficult to stop. But now, if that happens, we basically have a 6 and a 4, and we can make a free level 10 Synchro, and potentially banish a card on the field or in either graveyard as well, off the graveyard effect of Chunjun. Now, that's only if they try to Veil or Imperm this, and if we even want to do that, for example, because there's no like real reason to. If they negate it, like with Veil or Imperm, then he just stays as a level 4. And then off of him and the 4 tuner, we can make either a Chaos Ruler or a Berserker of the Tenyi, which I think is very interesting. If they don't negate it and he becomes a level 5, then you can just consolidate both to just make a Shen Shen. Now, you're probably wondering, like, well, that's just Shen Shen and, like, pass, pretty much. And to an extent, it is, because, like, the rest of our hand, like, Metaphys Ascension, we kind of need a Metaphys in hand for it to be able to do anything. And then Assessment states that we can target a monster we control and banish up to 5 Sword Soul cards and or Worm monsters from grave, but we don't have any Sword Soul cards or worms in the graveyard. So, like, it's pretty much just Shen Shen pass with this particular hand, but for most of the time, you'd be very surprised at how effective Shen Shen actually is at keeping you alive, because a lot of decks do require their graveyard as a resource, and when Shen Shen's on the field, anything sent from the field to the graveyard is just banished instead. Even if they clear the Shen Shen, there's a pretty high chance that they won't be able to OTK you necessarily, and then on the following turn, like, you'll draw a card, and for example here we just drew into a Ragnarok, which is obviously very strong. Then we can, like, normal summon Rag and attempt to activate its effect by banishing the top 3 cards of our deck. Now, if they have a response to that, we can activate Auspice Chunjun in hand, tributing this to special Chunjun, putting the Ragnarok in the graveyard, still getting our triple banish, which we can go ahead and try that here. We get Gold Cirque, P.u.n.k, and a Shinobi Necro. So now Shinobi Necro actually will trigger here since it was banished off of the effect of Ragnarok. Actually, no, it won't, because if this card in the graveyard is banished. Excuse me, never mind, so it'll stay banished here. Reading is hard. Welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! But we still have access to our Shen Shen here from the grave, because we can banish the P.u.n.k and the Ragnarok to then bring the Shen Shen back, which is obviously very cool. And then just pretty much go from there. So, like I said, that's just one of the combos. Let's go ahead and reshuffle. And we'll try and see if we can hit another really good test hand for you guys. But like I said, is the deck like meta-defining tier 1, the most broken stuff? No, but it's a very interesting and very fun and cool way to play Metaphys. So if you're a Metaphys fan, I'm sure you guys can agree with me that like trying to find an optimal build for this deck is very, very difficult. Because it's either like you really double down on like banish everything, and then you just run like, you know, a bunch of stuff that like banishes, like macro, dimensional fissure, then you play the like necrophase and stuff like that. But ultimately, like your deck still lives and dies by the normal summon. Like if you normal summon Rag and it gets negated, you're pretty much a sitting duck. Or if you normal summon Rag and it doesn't get negated, like you get to banish 3, but it's banishing 3 random cards. So like you could easily whiff and still be dead in the water. So that's part of the reason why I really dislike pure Metaphys. Like the deck needs like support desperately in Archetype. So I wanted to build something that had like an interesting different, because I don't even think you can make Shen easily in pure Metaphys. You probably can, but not like on a 1-card starter. You can't, but like through Perfinesse. So we're shuffling here again. We're going to open up another random, we'll cut, and then we'll open up a random starting hand and see what we get into. So we got Assessment, Mana Dragon Zernatron, Crossout, Blackout, and we have another Assessment. And of course, like I said, we're probably gonna break. Well, actually, no, this isn't very great, but it's not like totally terrible. Basically, what we can do is go Crossout, declare Metaphys Decoy Dragon, for example. If I could find it, we'll go Decoy, banish the Decoy off Crossout, and then we can set the Blackout at least. And then on the following standby, Decoy actually summons himself to the field, and now the Blackout that we have is live, so we at least have a pop 2. Again, this hand wasn't particularly good, and it's kind of funny because like it's typical. Like whenever you want to showcase something, you try and do like a test hand, and then of course you draw like the worst possible hand. But like I said, it's still a very fun deck overall. You know, you guys saw it in action during the live duel against Metaphys, and it put in a lot of work. Speaking of that, something that I want to point out is my opponent in that video was a friend of mine who was piloting that Metaphys deck. He's the same individual that went to the North American World Qualifying Championships last weekend in Chicago and took top 16 with Plunder Patrol. So I would like to congratulate him. You know, that took a lot of heart for him to be able to do that. And I just thought that it was really, really cool to have somebody who was in one of my videos actually go to a major event and place that high with plunders of all decks, which is pretty cool. But expect a Plunder Patrol deck profile on the channel soon, because he agreed to showcase his deck for me on the channel. So if you guys are interested in seeing that top 16 plunder list, let me know down in the comments and I'll definitely get that arranged. But here we are with another combo tutorial test hand. We got Blackout, Blackout, Deer Note, Long Yuan, and Ascension. So with this hand here, we can pretty much go Long Yuan effect, pitching one of our Blackouts to then special summon the Long Yuan and then produce a token. And then now we basically have access into any level 10 synchro of our choice. Our choices being Baronet de Fleur, Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign Cheng-Ying, or Sinister Sword Soul Sovereign Kuai-Xing Long Yuan. In this case, it's either going to be the Baron or the Cheng-Ying going like first, turn 0. We'll just do Cheng-Ying since we do have a Blackout in hand. You know, we'll sync these off, burn the opponent for 12, make the Cheng-Ying, set Blackout, and now we can go like Blackout on their turn, obviously, to target our Cheng-Ying, to attempt to pop it and 2 other cards they control, and then with Cheng-Ying, we can just banish the Blackout Engrave, for example, to then be able to protect himself, and then, because the card was banished, we can banish a card they control and out of their grave, and then because Blackout was banished, we produce another Sword Soul token, which is really, really cool. So like that is obviously something that Metaphys wouldn't be able to do in its pure form. But let's go ahead and do one last shuffle and test hand before I wrap this video up here. Like I said, is this deck like meta defining? No, but it is a very cool and different way to play Metaphys as a whole. And I hope that you guys can appreciate like the work that I put into the profile, because it is pretty spicy, I would like to think. And it took a lot of time to come up with something like this and come up with something that was, you know, at least playable. So now, okay, see? So this hand is actually really interesting. We drew nothing but monsters, but we drew basically our 2 best starters. Dark Eye Nightmare is not really something you want to see opening hand, but if we have it, it's great because it's good for a follow-up on turn 3, which is really strong. And we drew the Long Yuan plus a Worm Outlet to discard. So this hand's actually quite nuts. To be honest, what we can do here, we're just going to go Strategist Long Yuan by pitching the Tyrant Dragon in hand to grave, special Long Yuan, produce a token, and then immediately here we can just make a Baron. So now we're insulated through hand traps, which is really strong. And now since we've already showed you guys the P.u.n.k combo with how he works, we're going to go ahead and normal summon the Xeomin instead, so you guys can actually see how the P.u.n.k line plays into this. So we're going to go Xeomin, pay 600, search a P.u.n.k monster from deck to hand. Keep in mind we do have the Baron on field, so if they have a hand trap, we can just stop it with Baron, which is really nice. Add the Foxy Tune to hand, and then with Foxy Tune, we will use his effect to go ahead and pitch himself. We'll keep the Dark Eye Nightmare, but we'll get rid of the P.u.n.k here. To grave, to then special summon from our deck a P.u.n.k monster that is not a level 8, so we're going to go into Deer Note. If I can find it, here it is. So we make the Deer Note, then we're going to sync both of these off into our Chaos Ruler. Then we're going to go Chainlink 1 Chaos Ruler, Chainlink 2 Deer Note and Grave, targeting the Foxy Tune. Again, keep in mind we are hand trap insulated by hand traps because of Baron, so we're really not afraid of anything the opponent might have. So now we go Chainlink 2 Resolves to special back the Foxy Tune from Grave, Chainlink 1 Chaos Ruler to go ahead and excavate the top 5 cards, and then add an excavated light or dark monster to hand, and then dump the rest into the graveyard. In this case, I think we're actually just going to grab the Mana Dragon Zernatron, and then we're just going to let the Auspice Chunjun, Shinobi Necro, Ascension, and Dimension go to the graveyard. Milling Necro off of this is actually really strong because you want him in the graveyard. Now we can overlay for a rank 8, which is going to be the Zombie Vampire. Activate the Zombie Vampire effect to mill 4 more cards from both players' decks. And then if any monsters were milled among them, we can special summon either to our field. We hit a Recover, a Strategist Long Yuan, and a P.u.n.k. We're actually going to elect to special the P.u.n.k. Keep in mind, if the opponent milled anything good, we can just summon one of their monsters to our field as well, which is really awesome. But in this case, we're going to summon P.u.n.k, use P.u.n.k effect to banish a trap as cost from our deck. In this case, we can banish like an Assessment, for example. Assessment will go ahead and produce us a Sword Soul token, and P.u.n.k will become a level 5. If we so wish, we can just hard make a Shen Shen right here using the 5 and the 4 because we do, we're synchro locked, but we can still make Shen Shen here. And then we pass on Baron, Shen Shen, plus the Zombie Vamp, which is really nice. But if you wanted to take things a step further, we can use P.u.n.k's effect. Also, I'm sorry, we would be detaching a Chaos Ruler for this. Excuse me. To be able to mill off the Zombie Vampire, you detach Chaos Ruler. Anyway, we can go P.u.n.k here. If we want to continue extending and not make Shen Shen, we can banish another trap from our graveyard. So let's just go ahead and do that since you guys didn't see that the first time. Let's just banish Ascension. He'll gain another level, becoming a level 6 now. And then because Ascension was banished, we can search a Metaphys card from the deck to our hand. So that can be anything like Decoy. That can even be like Dimension or Ace of Metaphys, for example, which is obviously really strong. In this case, I think we can just go ahead and search out a Decoy Dragon. And now that the P.u.n.k is a level 6, we can synchro the 6 and the 4 to make basically another level 10 synchro. So if you wanted to go into Cheng-Ying, or we can go like Kwai-Zing Long Yuan, for example, then we can activate Decoy in our Pendulum Scale. So now if the opponent like attacks, actually we don't even, we have Tyrant and Grave, which is cool. And then now we can go like Chaos Ruler, for example, banishing a Dark and a Light from our hand. Yeah, and then we can revive the Chaos Ruler. And then because we banish Shinobi Necro can special itself to our side of the field. Since it was banished by a card or effect. And then this is our board. Now we can take the Chaos Ruler and the Shinobi Necro to basically make... real quick, something that I overlooked. We'd have to go into the Cheng-Ying here, because Kwai-Zing Long Yuan specifically requires a non-tuner worm, and P.u.n.k is not a non-tuner worm. So we'll just make Cheng-Ying here. Excuse me about that. But yeah, like I said, this would be our board, and then from here we can like make Hulk, for example, and then go into like Hulk shenanigans, which we do play in our extra deck. There's actually, like I said, a couple of different routes we can take here. But either way, this is kind of like how the deck works. So that's it for the combo, guys. Let me know what you guys thought down below. Like I said, you know, is the deck meta-defining? No, but when it pops off, it can pop off pretty hard. I mean, if we were going second, this is more than enough damage for game. And we had a negate, which is like really silly. And this is pretty much how it all comes together, guys. So with that being said, like I said, please leave a like down below, comment, and subscribe. We're on our way to 400 subs. And like I said, let me know down in the comments if you want to see that profile for the plunder list that took top 16 at Nats. And stay tuned for more upcoming content. I will be doing an update on Melfi post Power of the Elements. So I'm really excited to show you guys what I've been cooking up for that. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Thanks again. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.